15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Tua takes a snap, pulls it back out, throws it, touchdown. It's Tyreek Hill.
Boy, the Tua fake, Jimmy, was fantastic. Looked like he handed the ball off only to pull it back, and Tyreek Hill was wide open, just sliding outside.
Thank you, Dolphins Radio Network. Bigger takeaway last night, the Dolphins winning, the Rams losing. It was a stunning loss, I would say, by the Rams, first and foremost. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. Credit to the Dolphins defense, who showed up big time last night. The Rams offense got 2 offensive linemen back healthy, and I question whether those 2 gentlemen have blocked in an NFL game before because they look totally lost.
Well, they're supposed to be really good, and also you had Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp on the field. And you had your running backs. You had Stafford looking healthy. And as Troy Aikman said, guy is not age a second. He's still really good. I have no idea what happened because this was a crucial game for the Rams, a home game. I know it's not a normal home field advantage. And the Dolphins still don't seem full strength to me. Tyreek Hill was a shadow of himself last night. And the game was, I know it was a close final score. It really felt like the Rams were never in it.
Nope. Their offense, it was such a slog for them to move the ball. The amount of 45-plus and 50-plus yard field goals that they were relying on from their rookie kicker, just not something you're expecting with a Stafford McVay offense. You're right, with everyone healthy. You could have fooled me that Cooper Kupp was on the field. I feel like he did nothing.
Well, when he did make a play, he looked awesome. Like when he ran a route, like he's impossible to cover. But for some reason, that just wasn't working. And Nacua, too. Like, they look fine. There was just negative play after negative play. And the Dolphins had no pass rush coming in this game. They were 31st in the league in sacks. And all of a sudden, they looked like the fearsome foursome.
They were getting to Stafford 4 different times, big plays in the fourth quarter, knocking the Rams out of field goal range. I mean, everything the bad teams do, the Rams were doing last night. And the Dolphins' defense looked like they had just gotten a shot in the arm. And by the way, they lost guys during the game.
Yep.
Really important players on the defense were going out of the game with injury, and they still looked good.
Hey, can I just say,
that's crazy.
They weren't great on offense either. It looked like every time Tua dropped back, I'm like, well, is this going to be a career-ending injury, a turnover, or a 17-yard gain where he threads the needle on some pass? Like that, it wasn't exactly easy for them to move the ball either. They had, and how many dropped interceptions do the Rams have?
Yep.
It was overall one of the more poorly played games I've seen this season, but big win.
Good for you. Here's Tua. Proud of the team's resilience. Hopes they can make a late playoff push.
The resilience of this team with the external noise, everyone counting us out. Hopefully this is an opportunity for us to not waste. Hopefully we can go on a run with this win and find our rhythm towards the back end of the season now.
Yeah. Okay. So that sounds kind of crazy. Like on the surface, they're 3-6. That doesn't make a lot of sense. But if their defense is going to play like this, and maybe it was overinflated because the Rams' offense was so bad, out of chicken and the egg type thing there. But it's not like the bottom of the AFC in terms of the playoff picture is this gangbusters, who's who, murderer's row. I think the Chargers are actually a good team. I don't know, though, about the Bengals this year. This could just be one of those bad years for the Bengals. Clearly, they have a great quarterback. They've got a great receiver. They've been off all year. Are the Indianapolis Colts scaring you right now? I think the resounding answer is absolutely not. Do you trust the Broncos with a rookie quarterback? Now, they should have won that game in Kansas City, but shoulda, woulda, coulda. The Jets, the Patriots. It's not like these teams that are coming for them. Why wouldn't the Dolphins think they're in the mix when they also have some, on paper, easy wins coming their way? Raiders, Patriots, Packers going to be a little tough. Jets is probably going to be a good game. There's wins on this schedule. Yeah. If I'm the Dolphins, why not?
Yeah, but even if you get it, what is the point? Again, they haven't won a playoff game since, I think, 2000. They haven't gotten to the AFC title game since 90. This is a franchise that is stuck in the middle, and even so, like you're talking about this gigantic payroll and aspiring to get into the playoffs at 9-8. I don't even know what I honestly, and I said this before, I thought they should have just had a full garage sale at the break. Where's Tyreek Hill going? He's 30. They should have traded him for a first round pick. They could have gotten a ton for Tyreek Hill. He's not Devontae Adams. He's not DeAndre Hopkins. He's more well thought of than that. I just don't understand. Like, this is what you're talking about with Miami. What's the future of this team? And again, last night, Tua's future. Dude, sticks his head into a tackler.
I know.
I don't see even your optimism. Like, I don't get it. Like, what is the point of this franchise?
Well, okay. The problem with those big existential questions on a morning like today with the Dolphins is because you've already committed to Tua. So
I know. You're right.
Like, you've already made the big money commitment. And so now I think you're trying to, keep Tyreek Hill. You're trying to squeeze everything out of this Tua contract while you can, because, you could tear it all down. You could tank. For who? You're not getting Cam Ward. And even if you do, that doesn't make any sense because Tua trading him, I mean, that seems crazy. You literally just gave him all this money.
Well, okay. Even last night with the win, I don't see something special happening in this.
Chop Robinson is good. Maybe they draft and could be some pieces to build around.
Well, Jalen Ramsey's 30. He's great, but he's 30.
Yeah.
And that's very old for a cornerback. Tyreek Hill is 30. That's very old for a wide receiver. I'm not in love with Jalen Waddle.
He had some drops last night. Was weird.
And also, he's not as explosive when he gets the ball as Tyreek Hill. They don't want to run the ball, so HN is whatever. And I just think that if you look at a lot of old pieces around there, and for example, Chop Robinson, they've been drafting a lot of guys. Like, I don't see their defense being a difference maker in the Tua regime. They went from 6 to 10 in the draft last night. They were 6. Like, I'll tell you a name. Travis Hunter fills in all, like, I keep putting Travis Hunter.
Put him everywhere.
Every thin team, I'm like, give him Travis Hunter. I don't know. I just feel like this is once again, like, they're aspiring to be in the middle. And last night's win, does it really help them? Yeah, maybe they have a shot to sneak in the playoffs and lose to somebody in the first round. But I can't get excited because I really wasn't blown away by them last night at all.
You were not impressed by the defense at all?
No, I don't care about the defense. They came out and they just threw the ball like crazy, and every play was like, hold your breath. What's going to happen here?
Okay, but the defense, I mean, Matthew Stafford, it's rare that the Rams or Matthew Stafford and the Sean McVay offense do not score a touchdown.
But I don't look at this Dolphins and say, wow, this is a team that's defense is going to be dangerous in the playoffs. I never even thought about their defense until last night.
Yeah, same.
That's what I'm saying. Like,
maybe they turned a corner.
I thought like the offense just felt very precarious to me. Like, they were relying a lot on Tua, and Tua was trying to make a lot of plays with his feet. And you know what happens when that happens? He was extending plays. I'm like, he's got to get rid of it immediately. Yeah. He's good at that. But last night he held on to it and took some massive sacks. Like, they just feel like they're really at the margin on that team.
855-212-4227. I guess maybe both of these teams just combined for kind of it was a close game, so if you're into that kind of thing, it had some drama at the end because the Rams kept closing the gap to 8 with these field goals, but they could ultimately never get a touchdown to even attempt a 2-point conversion to really try to make this thing that exciting. But if the defense could play like that, they are going to win. They're going to win their fair share of games. I do believe that. I just don't know if I was watching a mirage or if I watched a Rams team that just no-showed on offense last night.
Yeah, I mean, are we going to see? How about what happened to that team that from a couple years ago where they would start out that beat Denver 70-20 and had so many offensive weapons just you couldn't even figure out what to do with them? Does that team exist anymore?
I'll
answer. No,
no, it does not.
Of course not. Somehow that all slowed down. So again, you're right. They could sneak into a wild card, but we're talking about we have 2 star quarterbacks in that game, and one team is 4-5, the Rams, and the other is 3-6. Like, forgive me if I'm not blown away by that.
All right, you're forgiven. The other part of this too is, do the Rams still have a shot here at the playoffs? And I'll again point to the bottom of the NFC in terms of wild card. You know, it's the NFC has some good teams at the top. You know, the Detroit Lions, I think, are a good team. I still think that your Philadelphia Eagles, despite what you think, actually are a good team. I think Green Bay is good. We think San Francisco could be dangerous. But how sold are you on the Bears? How sold are you on the Arizona Cardinals being for real? You know,
I mean, the Cardinals are 6-4. I think the Cardinals look like they have a better angle than the Rams. I mean, you say that so one of the NFC East will get 2 teams in. So it's going to be Washington and Philly most likely.
Yeah.
Then
unless Washington, by the way, have you seen Jaden Daniels, pardon me, not rushing the ball anymore. Ribs are hurt. Could we be looking at a Cliff Kingsbury second half swoon? I love the Commanders. They're super fun, but I got my eye on the Commanders.
You think the Rams? I have trouble thinking that the Rams are going to catch them because they're still in the NFC East. They'll get some easy wins. Then you got all those NFC North teams. So you got the Packers and the Vikings to deal with, and the Vikings' schedule is insanely easy. Yeah. So I'm not saying that quality of team-wise are not there, and it just seems like in the NFC West, anything can happen on any given Sunday, and those teams are going to beat each other up. So they're all pretty good. I mean, I think it's going to be really tough for the Rams. It's funny. I looked at the odds this morning, and the Dolphins actually have slightly better odds than the Rams to make the playoffs, and neither odds are good.
Sure.
But the Rams are, the Rams are heavily favored to not make the playoffs, even at 4-5. And last night was a big game for them. To me, that's the takeaway.
It was disappointing for the Rams, without a doubt.
Rams really kind of blew it last night at home.
Also, what does Vegas know? How do they always know? Because we sat here and, I bet the Rams and laid the 1, but that's not even about that because that's fine. How?
But the money did pour in on the Rams.
But Vegas had it right the first time, even though the Rams were getting tackles back healthy. I guess Siller?
I think it was
from the Dolphins. Is this guy J.J. Watt? And he and Calais Campbell together were so disruptive at the line last night. He came back, he had a broken orbital bone.
Feels like maybe an urgency factor for the Dolphins. They needed this one. Like, the season's over if they don't win this game. So maybe it does feel like we've been in a lot of positions where this season where the more urgent team has won because there's so much.
Nature.
There's just so much parity in the NFL. Like, teams are really, really close. These teams are really close. They probably played 10 times in 5-5. So I think urgency might be the key factor that Vegas saw.
I know, but the thing about that is, isn't that what the coaching is for? Isn't that, where the edge? I'm not saying about being a motivator, but I'm talking about in the game. Like, the Dolphins had a lot of urgency. They came out with a great script. They scored in 3 minutes. It looked awesome on their opening drive. But isn't that the McVay genius stuff? Yeah, but he doesn't really have the team to overwhelm you. I mean, they're about a 500 team. Okay, but everyone was healthy last night. They had won 3 in a row. We're talking about Jared Verse. We're talking about Braden Fisk. We're talking about this, Rams could win the division. We talked about that. Definitely. I don't know. I've always sensed a sense of caution with the Rams this year. They got Puka, Nakua back, Cooper Kupp's back. Kyron Williams all of a sudden was not effective last night. Somebody seems to be not there. I can't put my finger on what's missing. Well, Aaron Donald was in the crowd. You can't lose Aaron Donald and not expect to drop off a little bit. I mean, the Dolphins only scored 23 points. It's not like they, But if Aaron Donald was on, you talked about motivation and all that. Like, if Aaron Donald's on your team, you're giving 100% every game because you have the best player in the last 20 years on defense right there. So anyway, I do think that they're kind of young too. Like, look around their roster. They have a lot of young guys. I think they're about a 500 team. Who was that? Aaron Donald. So can I also do one small beef that I've seen across the NFL? This one's actually bothered me for quite some time. Has nothing to do with the outcome of the game, but will you allow me for a second? I don't understand why guys do touchdown celebrations that may cause an injury. Oh, the falling on their back thing? Yeah. So here's Tyreek Hill talking about Odell Beckham, who came up with a big third down catch for the Dolphins last night, keeping a drive alive in a very key spot, and how he hurt his back on the touchdown celebration, which I don't even know what they were doing.
First touchdown since the opening game. How did it feel to get back in the end zone?
It felt good until Odell slammed my back out, man. That kind of hurt me, so I'll probably miss Wednesday practice with that one.
Right. So I'm sorry. Tyreek Hill's back got all injured out of that. Now he's going to have to miss practice. Was it some kind of Bash Brothers? And that was NFL Network, by the way. A Bash Brother? I didn't know. I didn't get the reference. And meanwhile, I'm still trying to figure it out. Now, guys, now Tyreek Hill, who already has a ligament that's torn in his wrist that apparently was made worse by the detainment from a couple weeks ago. Now more than a month ago. Yeah. I'm sorry. And also during that detainment, he said he was coming off knee surgery too. Right, which we all found out. That was a charity touchdown for Tyreek Hill. They had first and goal at the inch-yard line. They could have just run it in, but I think Tyreek Hill hasn't scored a touchdown in forever. So they kind of gave him a touchdown. I don't think they expect him to get hurt on the celebration.
So I'm reading this now. It looks like maybe they were doing a fake wrestling match, it looks like.
Oh, that's safe. Awesome.
I got the wrong player, but I tweeted, imagine OBJ's back tightening up on that celebration. It's not a wrestling ring, man.
Yeah, exactly.
I got the wrong player, but
it's worse that it's Tyreek. James Cook did this the other day where he goes into the end zone and does this forward flip. Like, why?
I forgot Odell was on the team until the celebration happened.
Totally.
Oh, man.
Definitely.
Yeah, actually, I saw he's mostly a cheerleader. He's right there to high five every receiver after.
Which, I'll be honest, considering what we think of him and sometimes him having a huge ego, I do like that. Like, I agree. I think
we barely noticed him.
Yeah, right. I do like that. Like, when I saw him, he was, like, bigging up all the other receivers, which I was like, okay, he's grown into that, like, Vince Carter at the end of his career role. I appreciate that. I never would have thought that would be Odell Beckham, though.
No, he does not have that reputation of being a team-first guy.
And who is Malik Washington? That was they're like, they have all these superstars, and then Washington made 2 gigantic plays. I really don't know much about it. I guess he 6th-round pick out of UVA, another weapon for them. I can't get excited about the Dolphins. I appreciate your bottom of the AFC playoff standings. Like, there's definitely stars there. I get it. But where is this team going? Like, what's their big goal here? Like, do you ever see a Super Bowl in Tua's future?
That's impossible for me to say yes today.
Yeah,
that's an impossible.
Yeah, no,
answer.
I'm being such a Debbie Downer after a huge win that kept their season alive last night. But even that, I'm like, I watched them last night. First of all, hand the ball off to protect Tua just once, just to keep the defense. Like they said, we're desperate. We're going to throw the ball in every down, and it was an adventure. I really just don't feel like they're going to be able to keep him healthy.
855-212-4227. So that was a little of what happened last night. Who did you feel like you learned more about, if anyone, Miami or the Rams?
Well, we learned that Odell Beckham Jr. was on the Dolphins.
Our work here is done.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's enjoying Miami, although that's also been on the low. We haven't heard much.
Clip number 1 of 3 things we learned today on Maggie Perloff.
He easily could have shown up in a Rams jersey last night, and America would have been wiser.
Give him his old jersey back.
Yeah. Like, I don't think most people knew which team. If you came into last night, the average viewer, did they know if OBJ was on the Rams or the Dolphins? Bet you it was about. That's a coin toss. I have no idea.
So you're welcome to weigh in on last night if you've got thoughts on that and who it means more for. And are the Dolphins a playoff team? Sneak in playoff team. Okay, we've got to get to it. Once again, more drama, self-inflicted. What other kind is there? With the Dallas Cowboys. And it's Micah Parsons, it's Mike McCarthy, and it's a podcast. I mean, I can hear your groans, America.
Yeah.
But you're going to want to hear the sound. Maggie and Perloff, don't move.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. 3 minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff show. So we're breaking down the Dolphins' big win over the Rams. How are things going in Dallas, Maggie?
Smashingly. I'm so glad you asked.
Yes, I haven't heard much from Big D lately.
Yeah, well, wait 5 seconds because we've got something for you. And of course, it's more drama. It's got nothing to do with football because that's how the Cowboys roll. And that's honestly the only thing that they have left for this season. Dak Prescott.
Drama?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Dak Prescott's gone for the year. They got smoked by the Philadelphia Eagles at home. They kicked 2 field goals in that game, and Micah Parsons was back. Now, there's been drama with Micah Parsons and Mike McCarthy. So the easiest way we can set this up for you is going back to Sunday. The post-game comments that Micah Parsons made about Mike McCarthy when he was asked about McCarthy's job status as a lame duck coach. Here's what Micah said on Sunday.
That's above my pay grade about if Mike is coaching again next year. But all coaching aside, Mike can leave and go wherever he wants. But the guys, I kind of feel bad for guys like Zach Martin and guys who might be on their last year on their way out. Because that's who I wanted to hold the trophy for. You want to win games and do great things with those type of legends who put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. So those are the kind of guys that I have so much sympathy and hurt for.
Okay. Perloff, I think that there's part of this that we totally understand, which is a player feeling like they want to make an impact for another player more than a coach. To me, that's not a crime. I actually understand where he's coming from about Zach Martin and wanting to play hard for a veteran like that.
Right. And I think even that comment, like Zach Martin talked about retirement in the summer, you get the sense that this is it for Zach Martin. And then once he's done playing, there's no coming back. So there is that logic there.
Totally. The part where Micah Parsons made a mistake, and he did make a mistake, if he was not trying to make a headline or imply anything about his head coach, you can't make a comparison here that guys like Zach Martin have put in more time and work than Mike McCarthy ever did. Yes, Zach Martin's been there longer. Of course he has. But you can't imply that the players are putting in more effort and more work than the coaches, because that is throwing a coach under the bus when you make that comparison. Is it not?
Oh, absolutely. And the reality is, I mean, Mike McCarthy came up under Mike Holmgren. Like, he probably put in more hours than any human being on the planet. It's not like Mike McCarthy has been on easy street to get here. So, and he was a player too. Like, I'm not sure what he was saying there.
So now Micah Parsons, who gets caught in this, not caught, he said it. Micah Parsons, who has his own podcast, okay? So Parsons, very comfortable talking to microphones. This is not pulling teeth. He went on his podcast yesterday to set the record straight for what he was trying to say.
The question that was asked was about here in the Dallas Cowboys, did I see Mike McCarthy in our future? And I said, that's above my pay grade. So never once did I ever intended or wanted to reflect on Mike McCarthy's career, because I always knew it was a good one. I've always had a great relationship with Mike McCarthy, and I never even put that in question.
Well, yeah, if you had ended the quote with "that's above my pay grade," then sure, none of this would be a problem. But you went on to say that he implied that he didn't put as much time and effort in as the coaches. Here's more on Parsons now blaming the media, of which he is now a member.
Whoa, that I disagree with you. He's not a
journalist, but what is podcasting? Is that not media?
I think it's a big difference, a 25-year-old player who's a podcaster and being what the media does. I think it's a different thing.
Okay.
Yeah, but you know what I mean. Like, I'm not like,
there.
I'm not saying like he didn't go to like, I don't think anyone's a journalist anymore, but generally like, yeah, I just think it's different. Like, even if he's doing a podcast, he's not a media member in the sense that like he's just talking off the top of his head.
So here is Parsons saying the media is manipulating his words about Mike McCarthy.
We all have to see through the BS of what these TV analysts are trying to do and, provide us and basically take words. I never once threw or even intended to throw Mike McCarthy under the bus. Like I said, he's one of the most winningest coach. He is a Super Bowl champ. I never once brung up his past.
No one is saying, well, I mean, you kind of are bringing up not his past, like in Green Bay or something like that, but if you're saying that a player put in more time and more work than Mike McCarthy ever did, which is exactly what he said, then you can't be that shocked by the response. And I don't think he said this and is doing like not me, like, my words are being twisted because he's just trying to get more headlines. I actually think he feels this way, which shows a real delusion here about what he actually said and how it could be perceived.
Yeah, I'm not with you on this. I think Micah is right, because basically the tone of what he was saying, like, you could tell when he was talking that first time, like, he did not mean to shred Mike McCarthy. Just like, basically, if you put the whole package together, he's always, he talks a lot, so he's a little bit loose with his words, and maybe there is some meaning behind there. But I turned on ESPN yesterday and I saw Damian Woody and Rex Ryan acting as if this man had just said Mike McCarthy and his children are evil or something. Like, they blew it totally out of proportion in my mind.
Herm Edwards also had some strong things. He said, this really strikes a nerve with me as a coach because I didn't see my kids for 3 days during the week. After a game, I don't see my kids until Wednesday. And I think the idea that a coach isn't working hard, I think really rubs coaches the wrong way. And that is what the implication was.
I feel like there was some ESPN producer who says, whatever you're about to say about Micah Parsons dialed up to 40. And that's how I see these shows. I'm sorry. Like, that's just how it works. I've been in these shows. Like, you can't just say, like, well, this was a young kid. He probably shouldn't have said that. And everything has to be this crime against humanity. I think we heard the original Micah Parsons quote. Did he misspeak? Yes. Was it some egregious commentary on Mike McCarthy? I didn't walk away from that saying he's burying his coach. I just thought he got a little loose, and I do think that, I think there's motivation for some of those talking heads at ESPN to really make it more dramatic than it is. And I think that's what Micah is reacting to.
I think on this one, Parsons made his own bed. Now he's got to lie in it. I think when you use that kind of words where you're like, he's done more than this guy ever did. I think it implies there's something there, and nothing happens in a vacuum. It's Mike McCarthy in the last year of his deal. They have not given him an extension, so he's a lame duck coach. The season has completely gone off the rails. And, I think there's a lot of questions swirling around, and this was not like a endorsement of him. No. This was an endorsement of the veterans on the team and really showed nothing about Mike McCarthy. There's another clip, which is the one where he says Mike Zimmer's name wrong. I mean, this is one I'll forgive because people misspeak all the time. But here's Micah Parsons, and his defensive coordinator is Mike Zimmer, but he calls him something else.
And for a guy like Rex Ryan, I just know he wanted to coach the Cowboys. I'm perfectly happy that we have Zimmerman, because if we have a guy that's willing to go on TV and provide this type of nonsense, imagine what he could do to a locker room. That's just honestly just outrageous to me.
First of all, implying that Rex Ryan is on TV calling out Micah Parsons or calling out the Cowboys because he is salty because he didn't get hired by the Cowboys. Okay. But then also saying it's Mike Zimmerman. Yeah. His own defensive coordinator. Listen, people misspeak all the time. That yeah. I'm not gonna. That's just more funny than.
I'm sorry. I'm seething right now.
Yeah.
Because
it's letting Micah Parsons off the hook. Perloff
yes,
is.
And Pearl, this guy is a president at Bleacher Report. Okay, to say he's not a media member at this point is just not.
I forgot about that.
I know maybe we don't take him seriously, and perhaps we shouldn't because he's
young.
He wants to speak for a living, and then he can't get his words out. But you can't talk about wanting to be a member of the media, being a president at a major media company, and then when the words that you said are being talked about just purely out of what you said, and people are giving their opinions about it, it's you're twisting my words, people are trying to manipulate me, they're using my name, image, and likeness. Let's be real, Pearl, the guy's a clown.
But I think it's silly. You're sitting here in all seriousness, and you're not even kidding, calling him the president of Bleacher Report. That's an absolute joke. I'm like, oh man, the president of Bleacher Report just had a sick tackle. Come on, that's an honorary, bizarre position that, if anything, reflects poorly on Bleacher Report. He is not a media member like we are. Micah Parsons is not like us.
Maybe that's Kendrick's new song. No. So let's get it right because his name, image, and likeness is being skewed, which is so funny. He's the president of BR Gridiron. I don't know. That's some kind of subsidiary. Yeah. No, EJ's right, Perloff. You're letting him off the hook. He said it, and now he's upset that he's getting called out on it.
But that means that you guys are basically saying Rex Ryan is the voice of reason here.
No,
not saying that.
No, and
right.
My thing is, though, I don't really care so much about what Rex or Damian Woody had to say. My thing is, this guy is supposed to be a leader of a team that's sinking, that is absolutely plummeting. And with any leader of any football team, we give them some accountability to say, hey, you have important words. Your words are important. You don't want to say anything that's going to make this worse. And he said something that made this worse. Whether Get Up did this or not, this quote was going to get out and people were going to say something about it. They were saying I saw it last night. I saw it before Bleacher Report even came out, the Sunday night before the shows all started. So this was going to get out regardless. And instead of taking any accountability and saying, hey, you know what? I misspoke. I meant to talk about Zach Martin.
Yeah.
I love Mike McCarthy. No, it has to be always this, they're out to get me. It's my name, image, and it's always the most bombastic stuff. These athletes are so annoying with this. Take some damn accountability.
Okay,
for once in a while.
Athletes would hear you say that, be like, all right, let's shut it down. Why are we even talking to me? You're going to pick apart every word we say. None of them want, except for Micah, want to go up to that podium. They are forced to do that. When Belichick gets there next year, he's probably going to tell Micah to stop talking. But generally, I understand, let's judge him on his actions, not these words in the press conference. He's just first of all, he's just playing a football game, and he's out there trying to put together some kind of meaningful quote because he's super fun at quotes. I think you guys are being way too harsh on him.
Listen, the post game, you want to give maybe a little bit of grace when you're right in the heat of the battle here. Yeah. But let's be honest, this game was over at halftime. So he had plenty of opportunities to get his thoughts collected. It's not like they lost on a Hail Mary or some kind of game-winning field goal where you're still in the heat of the battle. That game was irrelevant for a full hour and a half before the media ever got to talk to Micah Parsons. This was not the heat of battle. Things had cooled off.
If you want to talk about actions, let's talk about the actions, right? You've been out. This guy's been gone for a month.
He had a high ankle sprain.
Right, yeah, he's been gone for a month. He comes back. His team was terrible before while he was playing. He comes back, and they get smoked at home. Yeah, so if he wants to really talk about, I want to really give it out there for Zach Martin, and the guys are giving it all. Why? Oh, how come you guys look so terrible every week?
Well, I got to tell you, I was watching that game closely. Like, he was still running around. Like, he was chasing Jalen Hurts through that whole game. He did not give up on effort. I'll take Micah Parsons in 2 seconds on my team.
Well, of course.
Well, yeah, but you just said he's a clown.
Well,
he is a clown.
So does that mean you want a clown on your team?
Here's what I'll say, and I said this to you last night. Micah Parsons seems like the kind of guy where if you're on a bad team, I would never want this guy in my locker room because he's not going to make anything better. Similar to Sauce Gardner in New York. These are talented players that don't know how to turn the water off, or rather turn down the fire when things are bad. When things are good and they're winning, they're front runners, they play great, and they're saying all the funny quotes, and they're a fun time. When things are tough, you got to pull yourself out of the mud. These guys are not foxhole guys because what they're going to do is they're going to start pointing fingers, they're going to start blaming the media, and they're going to create distractions. I would never want this guy on a good
sign
team.
them both up in Philly. I could care less.
Most importantly, where does Andrew Bogish land on this? Because he's been waiting patiently from the Long Island studios today to bring us headlines. Team Micah, Team Perloff? No, Team Micah, Team Media.
Get your damn act together.
Don't put me on the spot to actually align myself once again with Perloff. What is happening now? What world do we live in?
You guys are coming together.
Who doesn't want to hang out with me, and I keep standing right next to him. I mean, the back half of what Micah said, more work than Mike McCarthy. That's the bad part. But I'll also, I guess the biggest fight I want to join here is he's not a media member. I mean, I'm still laughing at president of BR Gridiron.
That is funny.
I mean, I'm sure he does some emails or responds to some conference calls or whatever. But
I bet he does none of that.
Let's give ourselves a little more credit that there's a level of professionalism that we do our jobs with, let alone the guys covering, the women and men covering the Cowboys in their locker room every single day. He's not us.
You suck, Bogus.
It's still what?
You suck, Bogus.
No, I'm with you on that.
No, that was a drop. That was Manny dropped that. But no, right now there's some guy in a room texting Micah Parsons, hey, do you think we should go with a Dolphins story to lead the ARAC? Or like he is micromanaging that website right now.
We need some power rankings, and we need them yesterday.
Micah, I'm having trouble with this headline. We need some power rankings, and we need them yesterday. But Micah's like, all right, we're going to schedule the mock drafts for this date and this date and this date.
Who's on our World Cup coverage? Oh, I'm sorry. It's BR Gridiron. He's not responsible for that. What other headlines are going on? You're welcome to weigh in on Michael Parsons, by the way. 855-212-4227.
The player, not the media member.
Don't limit people.
There's two different people we're talking about.
The executive or the linebacker?
I mean, if he's a media member, he's Travis Hunter doing two sports, two positions at one time. Come on. He's a football player. That's it.
Well, he is a pretty active podcaster. He did tour the world with CJ Stroud for no reason I could ever figure out, just doing entertaining videos.
Honestly, him as the president of BR Gridiron, if it was his idea to do that tour with CJ Stroud, that's thinking outside the box.
No, he's got a lot of promise as a media member. I'm not going to lie. He's definitely better than
He'll probably be our boss one day.
Yeah. Your headlines.
Sorry, Micah, if you're my boss.
Don't apologize now, EJ. You're out.
Headlines are sponsored by Mint Mobile. Switch and get half off unlimited premium wireless at mintmobile.com/score. The way Monday Night Football in LA started, we appeared headed for plenty of points.
Tua under center, tight end in motion. There's the snap. It's the end around, coming to Washington 20. Got a block 15. Numbers 10, near sideline 5. Pylon dive, touchdown, Miami. Oh, what a statement. On the game-opening drive, they go 70 yards.
In what felt like 7 seconds, Kevin Harlan on Westwood 1, introducing us all to Malik Washington on that 18-yard scoring run. But that drive was the exception, not the rule last night. The Dolphins only got back in the end zone once. The Rams never did. So Miami went home with a fairly ugly but much-needed 23-15 win. That snaps their 3-game skid, gets them up to 10th in the AFC, one behind the Broncos in the loss column for the last wildcard spot. The Rams, meanwhile, are 2 games away from a playoff spot in the NFC as their 3-game win streak ends. Matthew Stafford tries to explain 0 TDs.
It's just negative plays at the wrong times, right? Whether it's a turnover or a sack or a inefficient play on first down, whatever it was, we shot ourselves in the foot a little bit in that kind of strike zone area, right? 30-yard line-ish area. And that was probably the difference in the game.
Only the second time in Stafford's 4 seasons in LA that he does not produce a touchdown. As we move into Week 11, huge game Sunday, Bills and Chiefs. Buffalo already ruling out rookie receiver Keon Coleman with that wrist injury. He did not play Sunday's win in Indy. Jack Del Rio stepping down as a senior advisor to Wisconsin football after a DUI arrest last Friday morning. Del Rio allegedly hit a street sign, drove through a fence, then officers found him walking away from the scene. NBA last night, the Cavaliers still perfect. Now 12-0 after downing the Bulls 119-113. This is the best start by anybody since the 2015 Warriors, who eventually set the all-time mark, winning their first 24 games. College hoops, number 2 Alabama fought off McNeese 72-64. The Tide, part of an unchanged top 3 in the new AP poll. Kansas still number 1, UConn still 3rd, Gonzaga and Auburn moving up into that top 5. And it wasn't Ivan, but the Avalanche will take it.
Nyquist brings it ahead. Leaves it for Shea. Doesn't take a shot. Sam Girard will force him back. Girard steals it. Breakaway in overtime. Sam Girard. Yeah! Sammy G gets the GWG. His first goal of the season against the team that drafted him. And you don't have to go home, but you can't stay here because this party is over.
Yeah, can't stay there, but you can go to Cowboy Willie's and live life dangerously.
It's called Shotgun Willie's.
Whatever.
And they'll host your next happy hour. Just, I don't know.
3 p.m. office party, whatever you need.
Just wear Kevlar.
Colorado, a 3-2 win over Nashville in overtime last night. Guys, back to you.
Bogusch, thanks so much. We've got lots to do. The Cavaliers, that is very exciting. 12-0, that's something. But we've got more football. We've got more drama. We've laid out the Cowboys drama. Micah Parsons, Mike McCarthy. That's not the only thing catching our eye this morning. Oh, more Bears. The Bears. The Bears are turning back into the Bears. Who could have seen that coming? It's getting bleak in Chicago. We got all the details next. Maggie and Perloff.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. .45 seconds remaining. .30 seconds remaining. .15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back. Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. All right, let's play a little game here called Is This a Good Job? Feels like a lot of coaches in the NFL taking heat, college too. But let's focus on the NFL for now. A lot of coaches taking heat. So, EJ, you'll give us a job. Perloff and I will tell you if this is a good job to take or not. Because obviously, if a team's looking for a new head coach, it means things are bleak.
Yes, exactly. I think all these teams are probably looking for somebody. So let's begin in Jacksonville. You got Trevor Lawrence, but you got a 2-win team there. Is this a good job?
I think it's a bad job because I think GM Trent Baalke has made too many mistakes in the draft. And this roster, while it's a bit top-heavy, it's just not good. I think that they're set up to fail. They really need to just they need a new GM, I think. And I don't want to fire the guy. But the Trayvon Walker over Aiden Hutchinson draft pick is going to haunt them for forever, even though he showed signs of being good. I do not think this is a good job.
Okay, I do think this is a good job because the money's already been committed to Trevor Lawrence. So there's no will they, won't they. You know exactly what's going on. It's possible that they get another number 1 pick. Okay, that's cool. I'd like to have that in my arsenal. And I look at the rest of the division, and besides the Houston Texans, who have shown, while they're having a fine season, that maybe they're not the juggernaut that we had originally thought. I love this division because I feel like I am very close to making the playoffs every single year.
Yeah, I think like we look at the Jags and we've both made this mistake where like there's talent there. It just feels like the core of the team and the personnel is missing something.
Well, they've never had a history of winning, so I guess that. But if I'm Belichick and I'm going to have a say over personnel also, this is a good job for me.
I think you're underestimating what that roster is. I think everyone's like Trevor Lawrence is just not playing up to his capability. I think from top to bottom, that roster is not what we think it is.
Who's next, EJ?
Let's go to Chicago. Matt Eberflus on the hot seat here. You got Caleb Williams there, the former number 1 pick. Is this a good job?
Yeah, the fire floose chants in full effect in Soldier Field. This is a good job. Now, again, like the Jags, you kind of have to overcome a little history of never having quarterbacks pan out. But I'm still in on Caleb Williams. I'm still in on his talent. And I actually think we were not all wrong as the media when we said this team wasn't bad. And the number 1 overall pick doesn't generally go to a team that has this many weapons. They just clearly have not invested enough in the offensive line. They all got hurt. And I actually think this is a good job.
Yeah, I'm nervous about this job. I was not surprised when the report came out from Adam Schefter at ESPN that Ben Johnson, the Lions offense coordinator, didn't want the Bears job. It's called 100 years of Bears history. Watching quarterbacks struggle, it just feels like this is a tough spot. So they went from Eberflus to defensive coach. They'll probably let go. They got to hire. You need to be an offensive guy for this team. Like if you're, say, Vrabel, do not take this job. Like you need an offensive guy to work with Caleb Williams. I find it, this is a high wire act. I'm not sure this offense can be fixed because they brought in all these players, all these receivers for him. I think it's a harder assignment than people think because Caleb, yes, is generational, but we forget like 50% of first-round draft quarterbacks fail. I think this is more of a tenuous job than I think you do.
Yeah, actually, I should make a note. They felt like they had such good offensive line depth with the Bears that they let one of their offensive linemen go. And Ryan Poles was like, well, I hate to do it, but I feel like we got enough depth. How's that looking now after Caleb took 9 sacks against the Patriots?
Well, also, I think play calling is part of this, too.
Well, we're going to find out if Shane Waldron's going to continue as the play caller. Who's next in a game of, is this a good job?
Is this a good job? The New York Jets.
That's a big no. That's a huge no. The only good thing about being the New York Jets coach is you'll get rich. So if that's important to you, then take it. If you want your reputation to go completely down the tubes, well, that's something maybe you can put a price on. I don't know. Rodgers at the end. Rodgers having so much power. No one knows if the owner of the team is going to have some kind of cabinet position now that Trump's back in office, or he's going to be another ambassador somewhere, get shipped off to Sri Lanka. Who knows?
That part is maybe a positive.
Nope, because his brother ran the team last time, and that gave him Adam Gase. Tough to be worse than Woody Johnson, and yet somehow we found the younger brother.
I totally agree with you, but you have to admit the expectations are going to be pretty low. Well, maybe not because you have Aaron Rodgers. Yeah, I would have. This is probably my last choice of the job. I totally agree.
It's a terrible job.
What about the Dallas Cowboys? You got president of Bleacher Report, Gridiron, Micah Parsons, and the injured Dak Prescott. This is a good job.
Well, I'm an idiot because I could talk myself into this job immediately. Like you basically have some really good young players there. The problem is Dak Prescott's $60 million a year. I don't think he's ever going to be healthy again. But you do have, assuming they re-sign Micah Parsons, I keep talking about him. Every time I see him play, DeMarvion Overshawn seems like a superstar, like defensive player of the year type player. You have the 2 cornerbacks in Bland and Diggs. Like you could come back and immediately fix that defense. They were a top 5 defense last year. Then Dan Quinn walks away, and now they're bottom 10. I think that you could immediately improve this team. So I think a coach might look good there.
All in.
Terrible job because of that man right there, Jerry Jones, who's only getting older, saying weirder things, wackier things that you've got to deal with. Apparently the sun is a big issue for afternoon home games, of which that's half your schedule.
Oh, I thought you meant Steven. You're talking about the actual firing ball up in the air.
Yeah, the star that warms our planet. It's always something. Cowboys aren't winning. But they're just happy that their franchise is worth $10 billion. Keep the tourists coming through.
You say they aren't winning, but they went 12-5 the previous 3 years.
Well, you just asked me earlier, like, what are the Dolphins doing?
No,
what are the Cowboys doing?
But I think you could immediately turn this into a winning roster. Like winning like above 500. I really do. I'm not even like saying that. And
above 500, but Super Bowl is really the goal here.
Yeah, I just think being above 500 in Dallas now would be a positive. I don't think you're going to get above 500 on some of these other teams.
I don't even know. Do we have time for our last one?
Las Vegas Raiders, quick.
To me, that's a hard no. For every reason that you said about Dallas times 10.
I want to see what the quarterback situation is before I say hard no on this. Is it Shedeur?
Well, I don't understand. Like, what are you going to see?
Well, it's got to be better than a Minshew, Aiden O'Connell. Who else got in?
Oh,
Desmond Ritter.
Desmond Ritter. That's a tough one. Can I get not a real quarterback. Can I get franchise starting quarterback.
Man, that guy better be really good.
Let's drop a young guy right off in the middle of Las Vegas and see what happens. Sure would go great.
You're in a 5-minute break. Four minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Four minutes remaining. Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. Two minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Two minutes remaining. One minute, 30 seconds remaining. One minute remaining. Forty-five seconds remaining. Seconds remaining. 15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Maggie and Perloff on the Infinity Sports Network.
Tua under center, tight end in motion. There's the snap. It's the end around, coming to Washington 20. Got a block 15. Numbers 10, near sideline 5. Pylon dive, touchdown, Miami. Oh, what a statement. On the game-opening drive, they go 70 yards.
That was Kevin Harlan last night on Westwood One, and yeah, that was way too easy. The Rams were in trouble from the opening drive. Welcome to the show, Maggie Gray, Andrew Perloff. You know, if the Dolphins could just look like this every week, then...
Yeah, I don't agree with you on that. I did not think it looked like a smooth operation last night. Listen, how many points did they score?
23?
Yeah.
26? No, 23.
23. That's not going to do it for the Dolphins. Like, they won last night, but somehow they were just battering Matthew Stafford and the Rams. But this was not the greatest show on turf. Dolphins, 23 points, and it was like they had long field goals too. Both teams are depending on their kickers to hit 50-yard plus. It just wasn't like a smooth operation. It feels like the Dolphins are just trying to get everybody on the field and gel. This was not as good a team as I've gotten used to with that offense.
Okay, so yeah, final score 23-15. Sorry about that. But here's the thing. You go on the road, you're going cross-country, primetime game when the Rams are healthy.
Yep.
Not just that, Rams were getting offensive linemen back in this
Yep.
game. Could have fooled me. They looked like a disaster. Matthew Stafford got sacked 4 times, including a crucial one in the fourth quarter. I find that this feels a little bit more, yes, it was not by any means easy outside of that opening drive for Miami.
Well,
but their defense looked really good.
I know, but what is this team then? Like, they scored on that opening drive. I'm like, oh my God, they're going to drop 40 tonight. And then they really didn't do anything offensively the rest of the game, which to me is a little. Not only that, like, there were so many near turnovers and devastating sacks. Like, they looked sloppy as all get out. There was a key play in the fourth quarter where someone jumped to his route because everyone knows where he's going. And the guy just dropped the ball. Could have easily been a pick six. I thought the Dolphins got lucky to just sit on that lead because for some reason the Rams offense could not do anything last night. You're right. The defense looked great. But I look at the names on the jerseys. I'm not scared of that Dolphins defense. I am because of this Siler effect. But
yeah, either they put together just an amazing game plan last night, or they've found something with getting back some crucial guys like Siller. I maybe one guy kind of fills in a domino, and everything else. Calais Campbell is 38 years old, and they're making millennial jokes about him on social media last night. He's the only guy who knows what dial-up sounds like. He's the only person who's ever used a payphone, stuff like that. But he looked rejuvenated. They're swatting down the passes at the line of scrimmage. And again, to me, this really came back to some of Stafford's offensive line issues. There were times when he just missed dudes, which is weird for Stafford. But other times I felt like he was under duress, where you had Dolphins players just breaking through the right side of that offensive line.
Absolutely.
The interior,
and
mostly.
big penalties on the offensive line as well. Yeah, I don't know why the Rams, but the Rams, have not actually been a great team this year. They've been quite inconsistent. I get it. Aaron Donald's in the stands, and this is a young team too. They're relying on a lot of young guys at key positions. Like, we love Jared Verse and Braden Fisk, but again, rookies. So I don't know. I'm not walking away from that saying, man, the Dolphins are back necessarily. I mean, they're 3-6, and again, 23 points in a game where they definitely should have put up a lot more than that.
If you're asking me about teams that I would feel any way confident about, and confidence too strong of a word, but where I could see it, we're talking about the 6th and 7th seeds here for the wild card in the AFC. I'm giving you Denver. I'm giving you Indy.
Denver, I mean, they should be 6-4. That is
well,
crazy.
They should have won last.
Yeah, they almost beat the Chiefs.
But to be honest, have you seen a lot of the breakdowns from that game where basically the Chiefs were setting that up all game? Where guys, they got the angle on the Broncos kicker, and they were getting closer and closer and closer until they finally got it.
So that's by design. The Chiefs were like, well, we got it in hand. We're going to block a 35-yard field goal. Come on.
I'm telling you, Perloff, they were setting it up all game long where they were almost getting to the kicker.
Right. Brilliant game planning by Andy Reid. He's like, we're going to let them get down there, then we block it.
No, it's a Dave Taub, I think, is the Taub is the special
the Broncos
team.
had a 35-yard field goal to win the game, Maggie.
Okay.
Don't give me any design here. Just the Broncos blew that in a huge way.
Okay, but we're just talking about the bottom of the AFC now. And if you could see the Miami Dolphins actually sneaking into the playoffs, the Bengals should be better. But to be honest, their quarterback is awesome, wide receiver is awesome.
Schedule has been pretty hard.
And they've got more AFC North teams on their schedule. Okay, they played the Ravens twice, but they still haven't played the Steelers at all. So the New York Jets, I mean, these are the other teams that are around them at 3-6, 3-7, 4-6. So,
well, here's the other thing too.
And I think the Chargers are probably going to get that fifth wild card, first wild card.
Do you really feel like, and I'm going to just say it, do you really feel like Tua is going to be here till week 18?
Why doesn't he wear the Guardian cap?
He says, well, first of all, there's not a lot of proof that it works. That's one thing. I saw our buddy Quincy Avery, the quarterback coach, was saying, like, people are yelling at Tua to wear this Guardian cap that people are really not confident helps. But the thing is, he was holding on the ball, taking big hits. Like, he got desperate to make a play. He really wants to win. And I credit him for that. It's a bad combination. I got nervous last night. And also, without Tyreek Hill as a quick strike weapon anymore, because I don't think he's around anymore. I don't think the old Tyreek Hill still exists. That offense is just going to really have to really work hard to generate any big plays.
I mean, back to Tua for a second, throws himself into a tackle, basically got his head knocked by someone's knee. Like, dude, this is what people are talking about. I know it's a violent sport and you can't take your instincts out of it and all of your training, but still, I mean, the best way you help this team is being on the field.
Well, to make this work, he has to get rid of the ball immediately. He's got to throw it to Tyreek 3 yards from the line of scrimmage and make a 30-yard play, or he's got to get Achane on a catch run. Like they need to get rid of the ball immediately. And last night he held on to it a bunch of times because it was such a close game. I don't see this as a wonderful formula. I just worry about him.
For the Rams side of things, I was wondering if this man would call in today. It's George in L.A., diehard Rams fan. George, you were so confident yesterday that the Rams were going to walk out of there with an easy dub.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not always what it appears, and you can't kick 5 field goals, and I almost had 6, but it doesn't matter because you got to have touchdowns in the NFL. And if you guys notice this year, the whole NFL, there's a lot of mediocre teams, a few good teams, a lot of mediocre teams.
Yeah, I think that's one of the big themes this year. You look down the schedule, how many 4-6, 3-7, 2-win teams? You know, Pearl, it's a lot of mediocrity this year.
Yeah, but
the only good thing.
Oh, is it parity? Is it parity or mediocrity?
Well, you're watching last night. It feels like mediocrity because, again, the Miami Dolphins defense I thought was the only unit in the game that distinguished itself last night. George, thank you.
I agree.
Yeah.
Only good thing they got going is they got New England next week, but New England seems to be regenerated a bit. But they should beat New England. But you know what? If they don't, he still might resurface that trade with Cooper Kupp and Stafford.
Well, the trade deadline's passed. George, always the optimist. There's nothing you can do about it now.
But we say mediocrity. Stafford made a couple throws last night that probably 2 other humans on planet Earth can make. Like they do, is that in there, that specialness with Nakua and Kupp? I just don't understand why they couldn't sustain any offense last night and why they couldn't block the Dolphins. The Dolphins hadn't touched a quarterback all season long. How that happened, I chalk it up to desperation. Like their season was on the line and they were fired up and healthy. And also the home field of the Rams is not like another home field. It's kind of thin.
I get that, but I know that sometimes you think it's insulting when we say like bulletin board material, motivates athletes. Probably like they'll say you're a professional athlete, you should always be motivated. Does that same kind of urgency, desperation, is that not giving the Rams enough credit? Like they should be feeling desperate too. They're not there's nothing guaranteed about the Rams.
Yeah, I mean, then they should wear this loss in a heavy weight because they did not look fully energized for last night. I think the Rams are younger. I just think that they put this graphic up of all these great draft picks they've had in the last couple of years, these late round picks. Like they're relying in key spots on some very young guys. This might be, they're kind of trying to straddle the line between rebuild and winning with rookies and second year players. That's hard to do.
I get it, but you have a seasoned quarterback. You've got a head coach that everybody loves and always wants to hire all their assistants. And I always feel
he's awesome.
That's like the equalizer. Cup is not young.
Yeah, I mean, but remember last year they went on that playoff run. We were all quite surprised by that.
Definitely.
They don't feel like, they aged out of that Super Bowl team.
You're welcome to weigh in 855-212-4227 on what we saw last night. Just coming up in a little bit, we're going to talk about what's going on in Chicago. The Bears situation is very much devolving. But Perloff, you mentioned something to me today about how happy you are that your family's back because you've been left to your own devices over the last 3 days, and apparently you have not seen the sun.
No, I thought I was going to do all these things, clean my closet, see friends. And you know what really hurt? Saturday's college football slate was not good. There was a lot of blowouts. I had nothing really to watch. Went on all the streaming services. Can I just make an old man complaint? Like, there's nothing to watch anymore. Where are the good shows? Help me out. EJ keeps telling me to watch The Penguin on Max. I want something a little more uplifting, like something fun. Like, where's the comedies of my youth? There was nothing to do this weekend. I almost called you and said, hey, you want to bring the family over to Brooklyn and hang out at my house?
I was at a rave. I was
I forgot
up.
You were in D.C. You were raving in D.C. Yeah, people with young kids who are out there listening were probably so jealous that I got basically the apartment to myself for 48 hours. It was deadly boring.
It just sounds like it was a pin drop in there. EJ's telling you he's giving you 45 recommendations, but yeah, you're right. There's nothing to watch. This is why we have sports. Thank goodness. I'll even take the Dolphins Rams over starting a new show right now.
Well, I was like, okay, the days I'm not doing anything, but at least I got Alabama LSU tonight, and then that was a dud. And then Sunday, am I going to wake up early and watch the Giants and the Panthers? Well, I did, and I regret every minute I spent watching that game.
And then you had blowouts even later. We thought maybe the Jets Cardinals would be good. That wasn't good. Cowboys Eagles wasn't good.
The 4:00 window was an abomination. Yeah,
You could have gotten some fresh air,
Remember that Seinfeld episode, Summer of George, where basically Costanza does whatever he wants? I thought I was going to have the fall weekend of Andrew, and it was just a total. I sat on the couch and ate cheese, but other than that, it was not exciting in any way.
Some kind of bachelor paradise. Manny doesn't know what we're talking about. 855-212-4227. Let's go to Kevin. He's in Oregon. You have a question about the 49ers, Kev.
Yeah. I know you guys talked about this yesterday, but do you have any idea why Deebo Samuel went after the long snapper instead of going after Moody? I mean, did he think that he had to do something, but he couldn't go after the kicker because they might need him later in the game? I just didn't understand what happened there.
Yeah, so I think he actually unpacking this a little bit more, apparently what he said was, hey, he said to the kicker, Moody, lock in, after he missed his third straight field goal.
Yeah.
Apparently that's what Deebo said. He told him, lock in. The long snapper, feeling a little defensive, I guess, took issue with that. At least this is Kyle Shanahan's story.
Yeah.
The long snapper took issue, said something to Deebo. Deebo chokes him, and then they went their separate ways. And Kyle Shanahan said, it's over, it's done, squashed. He goes, but I like it from Deebo, and he said he liked it from the long snapper defending the kicker. So Kyle Shanahan, where's the Doc Rivers spin doctor?
I'll say Deebo locked in, all right. Locked his hand right around that guy's neck.
Yeah. So,
all right.
But you can't say anything to the kicker, right? Like, that's basic karma 101. Like, you don't say anything to the kicker. Even, like, what is the approach? George Kittle had a great line. He's like, it was all my fault because on Moody's first kick, I stood up. And he said, like, basically the universe tilted. He said, I never stand up on field goal attempts, but for some reason I stood up. And he's like, it's my fault. Because, like, maybe a Niners fan was in the wrong place and was in the kitchen when they should have been in the living room. Like, you can't touch it. Debo's wrong. Like, you can't say lock into a kicker. Like, that kicker is trying. Like, doesn't help.
No, I don't think it helps at all.
Yeah.
Kevin, thank you for the call. And, it just is going to make him nervous. Also,
right, exactly.
The guy's like, he's in his second year. He's been hurt. This is his first game back after missing several games. Like,
yeah, like, does he not know to lock in? He's like, wait a second, you're right. I mean, we're playing an NFL game. I should lock in here.
It's like, it's so weird. I was playing Nintendo Switch this whole time, and I wasn't locked in. Now I am locked in, but he did kick the game winner.
Hey, Deebo, maybe you have more than a 2-yard run on first down at one point this season. I mean, your outfit was awesome coming into the game. Did you see the leather shorts?
I did.
Deebo has really fallen off. I think that is one of the big storylines that is not getting talked about in San Francisco.
Can you imagine what would happen if a second-year anybody, kicker, wide receiver, defense man, told Deebo Samuel to lock in?
Only God knows.
Well done, Manny. It'd be a brawl. 855-212-4227. And obviously Deebo's, earned a lot more, I guess, respect. Yeah. He's got a lot more skin in the game, but still. No one would say that to Deebo.
That would scare me if, like, Deebo came over and said, lock in after I've missed 3 field goals. I'd be like, or what?
If I was a long...
You're walking home, and we're in Tampa.
Lock in?
By the way, if I was a long snapper, I would have gone after Deebo for sure, right? Like, that is the
I agree.
Somebody's got to step up, like... And I love Deebo as a player, but he is a bit controversial. Like, he says a lot of things.
Well, by the way, the long snapper is maybe the biggest dude on the team. Did you see how big that guy was?
He is tall, yes.
So, it's almost like an offensive lineman having to shove a defensive lineman when they hurt the quarterback. It's like the long snapper's got to stand up for the kicker. This is...
What did I say by the way, in week 3? I swear, pull the tape. Niners have to fire their special teams coach. That was I can't believe.
You did say that.
And the Jets needed to get rid of Greg Zuerlein. But the Niners special, it's not just a missed field goal. Just watch any return is a total adventure. You're a Super Bowl aspiring team, and you have the worst special teams unit in the NFL. That's not a good sign for the Niners.
855-212-4227. See you guys on the phones. Hang tight 1 second. We will get to the Bears, we promise. We see you, want to talk about everything and anything, and we got you. Also, coming up later in the show, we are going to talk some college football with our pal Andy Staples, which we're excited about. And we've got our college football report card on this fine Tuesday.
Can I just
gloating this morning? I'm sorry. Take it away.
I just want to thank Puka Nacua personally. You were a 5th-round pick. I always believed in you, and last night I believed in you. He had 9 catches last night. I didn't even realize. I was like, well, they're not really getting the ball, and then they just feed him. I won on Prize Picks last night. My streak is heating up, Maggie. It's the best place to get real money sports action. Watching football with over 10 million members, billions of dollars in award winnings. Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all.
So the cool thing about the app, it's simple to use. Now, you can pick 2 or more players across any sport, or you could pick 2 players in one sport. The NBA is in full effect tonight. Joel Embiid making his season debut. You could pair that with Jason Tatum, more or less 28.5 points. Embiid, 38.5 points plus rebounds.
Yeah.
So it's cool.
Living life in 20-second views. Scrolling through, he's got no time to lose. Maggie and Perloff, Daly's keeping score. YouTube's his love. He's begging for more. Double tap, clicking on that video. From sunrise to sunset, he never lets it go. Maggie snappy, Perloff's got a glow. Daly's hooked, he's looking for the show. Chasing trends, Daly's on a quest. Comments pouring in, he's one of the best. From every corner of the internet's reach. Daly's voice. Steady to breeze. Steady to breeze.
Three minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Three minutes remaining. 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining.
Oh, Uncle Sam's on YouTube. Tune in for some laughs. With a beer in his hand and his feet on the grass. He cheers for the Bogush and Perloff with a toast to the day. 4th of July is the best, you'll hear him say. Raise your glass, light the sky, it's the 4th once more. Uncle Sam's got stories that you can't ignore. From Maggie to Perloff, he's got quite the plan to celebrate freedom with a drink in his hand. Uncle of the year with a patriotic twist. Watching sports and sipping brews, none he's missed. He jokes and he laughs, spills some too, it's alright. Cause Drunkle Sam's in charge of the fun tonight. Raise your glass, light the sky, it's the 4th once more. Drunkle Sam's got stories that you can't ignore. From Maggie to Perloff, he's got quite the plan to celebrate freedom with a drink in his hand. On the fireworks boom and the stars are out, Drunkle Sam's still laughing, oh there's no doubt. So here's to the uncle who loves his brew. Happy 4th of July from the YouTube crew. So
1 minute remaining. $45 seconds remaining. $30 seconds remaining. $15 seconds. Break ends in 5 seconds.
Welcome back, Maggie and Perloff Show. We are breaking down Deebo Samuel grabbing the neck of the long snapper in San Francisco. Never a good sign. Never a good sign. They somehow came away with the win. Thank God for the Niners that they won that game over Tampa Bay, who really had no right to be in the game. But Deebo Samuel, I'm curious. I actually didn't know that Kyle Shanahan addressed it directly, and you sort of explained the backstory.
Yeah, that Deebo told Jake Moody, the kicker who had missed 3 field goals, to lock in.
Lock in.
And the long snapper was defending Jake Moody, and then it got heated. But if they had lost that game, do you remember the story from over the weekend about the Auburn basketball players who were fighting each other on the plane so much that, did the plane land or they never took off?
No, they did an emergency landing.
An emergency landing because these two guys were arguing with each other. And they ended up leaving those dudes back at Auburn, went to Houston, beat the Cougars somehow.
Amazing.
That would have been a brawl times 10, I think, if they had lost that game. Because that guy, Tabor Pepper, who's the long snapper, looks like he could be a professional wrestler. He's huge. He looks really big. And Debo's not going to back down. And the tempers would have only flared more, I have a feeling. Yeah,
I mean, maybe that's what the Niners need. Maybe they need a shakeup. Maybe they need guys fighting to get out of this doldrums.
And that's a generous read.
I mean, I'm being serious. Like the Niners are 5-4. They should be 7-2. It's not like they have just blown games. Like take that Cardinals game. Like that, somebody should have been fired after that game. Like they're having these. They're getting into these games, and it happened on Sunday too. Big leads going in the fourth quarter, and for some reason, they're just not a finishing team right now. I kind of like it. Maybe we need a fight here.
Dude,
Me and Bogush.
You and Bogush as a tag team, or
no, against each other.
Hmm.
I would not want to witness that fight. That would be bad.
You guys aren't the same. Well,
we're similar weight classes.
Definitely same.
When I say I wouldn't want to see it, like it would be just a bad fight. Like I have no fighting skills whatsoever, and Bogush, I imagine that you're not very much of a Jake Paul.
Have you actually ever slapped another man?
You suck, Bogush.
I've never been in an actual fight except with my brother, or on a basketball court, like a push or a shove, but a real fight with fists and punches, no, never.
Do you
Way
have
too
to,
nice.
So we've got many people on the show who wear glasses.
Yeah.
EJ wears glasses, Bogusch does,
Yeah.
Perloff does.
Yeah.
Manny and I are the only people glasses free.
Losers.
Is that a concern?
Definitely. You had to take the glasses off. If you're about to throw down, if we're throwing hands, me and Bogusch.
No,
which
I
would
get
never
that. If
happen.
you're a woman, you got to put your hair up. Like, I get we all have our things we've got to do. But then where do you put the glasses that they're not going to get smashed?
I don't fight, and I have no idea.
You put them in the front pocket or jeans or something.
Isn't there an assistant that holds them for us? How to...
Throw them to someone in the crowd that's suddenly forming around.
Yeah, the guy, my corner guy holds them.
Hold on, folks. Hold tight. Big Easy is in New Orleans. Big Easy, you have a thought on this Deebo Samuel versus the punter versus the long snapper? I mean, the kicker.
Hey, good morning, Maggie and Perloff. I just wanted to tell you that Pat McAfee broke this completely down.
What'd Pat say?
The offensive tackle had his feet in an outward position, and they were level with one another. That's why he fell straight back down on his cartouche, because your feet actually have to be inwards, pointed towards the person that you actually got to block, and you have to have one of them off the line in order for them to not to fall backwards. They've seen this. KC, it's beautiful. You could see these little things on tape, and what they did is they overloaded that one position, and what happened, he went straight back.
Yeah.
If you fall straight back, then you made a mistake.
Right.
Now, this is something that's taught from a very low level. And one other thing.
Wait, sorry, Big Easy. That just confused the bejesus out of us. We thought you were talking about what happened with Deebo Samuel and the long snapper and the kicker for the 49ers. You were talking about what happened with Kansas City blocking the Denver Broncos 35-yard field goal.
Yeah,
yes,
I
okay.
apologize.
That's okay.
I apologize. I was really calling and hoping that you would expand when you said you went to a rave. On that, I apologize. Y'all have a good morning, and but I just want to see if you would expand on your rave.
Yeah, on the rave. Thank you
I've
for
already
asking.
heard the story, and I want to hear it again because I'm still having trouble wrapping my head around, Maggie, your experience at a rave on Saturday.
Well, when you start hanging out with people in their 20s, sometimes you find yourself at a rave. And Manny, you're in your 20s. EJ, you're just in your 30s, basically. You guys are younger. I found myself at a rave with a bunch of 20-somethings at 5:30 in the afternoon in our nation's capital. I did not think I was going to something like this. I just think young people today, Pearl, have figured out partying in a way that people like us, I'll say millennials, that's what I am, just never did. They're in bed by 11.
My Generation X invented raves. What are you talking about?
But you had to wait till 2 a.m. to get the good stuff going. They're doing it at 5:30 in the afternoon, still getting your 10 hours, 8 hours of sleep.
I know why.
Why?
I think it's because these youngsters have phones and dating apps. They don't need to go get hammered to meet people. I think that's the main difference between young people. They have no idea. Like, nobody has a rap anymore. Like, you don't have to worry about your outfits. You just have a phone.
You have a profile you got to worry about.
You have a profile, right? Like, that's where your energy, like, you have no idea. They have no idea how hard it was to meet people back in our day. And you were there too.
I know. Well, I think now it's like the, there's a name for this where you have so many choices, it's impossible to make a choice.
Paradox of choice?
Thank you.
Yeah.
Why would you ever stop being on the dating app? Because you never, unless like you fall in love, of course, but there's so many fish in the sea and they're literally all in your phone.
Yeah, I mean, that exact dynamic kind of works before the phone, too. Like, a lot of guys don't want to get married. So like,
I know.
Yeah.
I know commitment phobia didn't start with Tinder.
But I'm not sure. Yeah, the old joke is...
It's easier, though, to meet people now.
This guy doesn't want to get married because just in case when he's 75 years old, he's walking on the beach and a Sports Illustrated swimsuit model comes up to him and says, "Hey, I'd like to go out with you." Yeah. Like, you don't want to tie yourself down just in case.
Listen, keep hope alive, guys.
And like, talking out of school, we know that happened to a friend of ours where he got engaged and then 3 weeks later found out that a swimsuit model had a crush on him. I am not naming any names.
Don't say that to people because that's such an exception. Like,
that
never happens.
But it's a you never know situation, Maggie.
No,
you never know.
We literally worked at Sports Illustrated. That is not happening to everyone.
I don't know. I got married and then Kate Upton, she's like,
no!
Justin Verlander, $300 million in the bank. Andrew Perloff, $30,000 in debt.
Listen, you got to make the choice tough on her, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kate Upton, by the way, taller than me. It's incredible.
Yep, she is. Yeah, I found myself at a rave, and it was very, very fun.
But Maggie, did you do research? Are we sure the rave was at 5:30 for efficiency reasons? They wanted to go to bed soon?
No, I think that's like young kids today are sort of prioritizing certain parts of their health. A lot of people aren't drinking like they used to either. Younger
right, but they're
people.
knee deep in Molly, so I don't know what they're.
Well, I didn't see anything, Bogue. So,
but actually, I don't know
say.
if you can do drugs like that anymore because of fentanyl. That's a big issue.
Well, that too. I'm still dubious about this early rave.
Me too. We're missing something.
Yeah, because
I've got video.
I know, but no, I'm not convinced. I'm convinced that it happened, but I'm not convinced that it was starting at 5 o'clock or the height of it was at 5 o'clock.
So they could get their beauty sleep.
24-hour raves is definitely also a thing with these kids today. I've covered them as a news person. Like they also do the 24-hour thing. I wonder if you found yourself at a 24-hour rave that you think started at 5, but actually started at like 11 p.m. the night before.
Well, everyone was in pajamas, which is weird. No, I don't.
But also, too, is it DC kind of a nerd town, too? Like, that can see, like, it's not like New York or L.A.
Yeah, but do nerds go to raves at any time?
Well, I think a place like DC, like...
I mean, I was at one.
But you were taken by someone else.
I was.
But, like, the cutting edge, like in Paris, Tokyo, New York, L.A., Are they Ibiza? Well, Ibiza is different. They're doing raves 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. But I wonder if this was DC specific because everyone has their consulting job at some sort of political lobby the next day.
Have you seen things over there? This has now become popular for a while. There's like morning dance parties.
Yeah. I see it on the news, but I've actually never talked to anyone who's gone to one of them. Like, it feels like this is something that looks good on like a morning news show. Like, and the kids these days, like, do people really do this?
Juice.
Yeah, I don't know if that many people are morning raving.
Can I also, as a young person, defend the struggles of online dating? Because there was a lot of, it was so much, so much harder back in my day. Because you guys didn't have catfish.
Oh, that's a good point.
And it's funny because I'm someone who met my fiance on online dating. We had friends over who also met via online dating. And her friend's partner was talking about how they once went on a date and the person was just not the person. It was a different person. Oh. And then when he tried to leave and say, hey, I don't know what's going on, but clearly you're not the same person, they got mad at him and said, oh, you're being shallow. You're being this and that for not taking me for who I am. So you guys didn't have any of that baggage that comes with the catfishing that comes with online dating. At least you knew who you were seeing when you actually met with somebody.
That is scary.
Yeah.
And I was wondering.
By the way, I never thought the online dating was easier.
I
think it's harder.
I have friends who are just like...
The hookups might be easier.
It is easy to hook up on some of these sites.
Right. Okay, so for guys, that's a little different. But
no, the sites favor women. Like, it's harder. It's famously much harder to be a guy on these sites than women. The women have the pick of the litter.
So here's the thing, though, right? It's like, are these sites, and we're talking about dating sites now, are they actually designed to help you find somebody, or are they designed to keep you on the site?
That's a great question. I mean, awesome I would vote for the latter, that they want it because their business is keeping you on the site. That's a really good point.
Right. So,
like the casino pumping in air to keep you awake, and there's no windows and no clocks.
Exactly. They just want you to be like, well, look at all these ladies, all these guys. Like, I'm just going to stay on Bumble forever or whatever.
Yeah, they're comping you a room so you stay dating all night long. But I mean, I meet a lot of couples who met online. So
do I. Yeah. I think it's the way to meet now.
That's so sad. Something about it's just sad.
It's not sad. It's just of the time. This is just of the moment.
I don't know. I'm nostalgic for the days where I would stumble into a bar in the
Wait, how'd you meet Sarah?
You don't want to know.
Did you tell you about JV basketball at Dartmouth?
No, through a friend.
5:30 rave?
There's no story. Through a friend.
Oh, what's so bad about that?
We were at a birthday party. And
was it Bruce?
No, it was a woman.
Okay.
Bruce.
Bruce has got...
I never met anyone named Bruce.
One-eyed Bruce. Bruce got a glass eye, once lost it mid-coitus.
Yeah.
Welcome to the show.
It's the greatest story ever told.
The best.
I did meet Thomas Everett Scott, the actor from that
on
movie with Tom Hanks. No, through Bruce.
Oh, okay.
They were in college together, and he was in our fantasy football league. That's who I met through Bruce. No, I'm a little distracted here. But, yeah, I think our system was better. Alcohol-fueled hookups.
Tell them about my husband.
Now.
Does that? Well, apparently not, because everyone's got to be in bed by 8 o'clock. Get that beauty sleep.
I never said they were in bed alone. I just don't know. Bogish has headlines for us. Hi.
These headlines are sponsored by Progressive Insurance. Protect your home and auto. Save when you bundle. Get a quote at progressive.com.
Bogish.
It took way too long, but Tyreek Hill back in the end zone last night for the Dolphins.
Tua takes a snap, pulls it back out, throws it, touchdown. It's Tyreek Hill.
Oh, feel that excitement on Dolphins radio. First TD since week 1 for Hill, the longest drought of his career. He only caught 2 other passes, a total of 16 yards in L.A., but his Dolphins held off the Rams 23-15 to snap a 3-game skid. Tua hoping the whole team's slump is now over.
The resilience of this team with the external noise, everyone counting us out. Hopefully this is an opportunity for us to not waste. Hopefully we can go on a run with this win.
The Rams' 3-game winning streak is over. They're now 4-6 overall. Their offense never found the end zone last night, turned the ball over twice, and had just 1 third-down conversion before its final drive. Don't worry, Cooper Rush gets another start for the Cowboys. It comes next Monday night against the Texans. You'll be shocked to hear that Florida men's basketball fans cheered for head coach Todd Golden last night as he coached while under school investigation for sexual harassment and stalking.
I thought it was great. I thought they were as usual, and obviously, during the current circumstances, I appreciated it.
As for the game, the 20th ranked Gators beat Grambling 86-62.
By the way, Bogish, we're having Andy Staples on, the college football writer from On3. He was at Florida in the 2000s, was a walk on the football team. And he saw crazy, crazy stuff. Right now, the Florida sports programs seem like one of the most bizarre, dysfunctional programs in college sports I can remember.
Well, it was a little curious where they give Billy Napier, let's put the basketball stuff aside for a second, because that's really serious and quite frankly, a little disheartening that someone could, it appears to be maybe credibly being, accused of these things is not at least being put on some kind of academic leave. That would be my first thing. While this gets all sorted out, I'm not saying he needs to be fired. I'm saying do the investigation, but it is a little odd that he's on the sideline. Let's put that on the side for a second. I thought in terms of football, Billy Napier getting this vote of confidence, and then they go out and get smoked.
Oh, yeah.
So what does it mean? Is it worth the Florida Gator letterhead that it was printed on, that vote of confidence? You
know what the irony is? If you ever read any of those U.S. News and World Report's college rankings, like Florida is a rocket ship. That university is impossible to get into. It's supposed to have amazing, everything is great about that school right now, except that this is a black eye. I mean, in serious, we'll see where this men's coaching, the basketball story goes, but it feels like a real embarrassment to me.
And there's also 2 other coaches that they've had to either kind of fire or part ways with. Soccer's one and somebody else that both were doing different, misdeeds in their job. So it's not just these 2. These are the 2 high-profile ones, but this is now 3 pseudo-scandals involving coaches in that program.
I think I figured out why that statement came out. I think the AD knows that if he has to fire Napier, he's the one that's gone. Because I think when you look at,
he hired him,
right, and you look at the dysfunction of the rest of the athletic program, like you guys have mentioned, he's on a very short road too. A lot of the Florida fans are very upset with him for good reason, for all the things that are happening. Maybe this could have, I don't want to say him going rogue, but him leading the athletic department, he might have tried to get ahead of that Texas blowout. Say, hey, Napier's going to be fine, he's going to be back. Because if he has to go to those boosters and say, all right, I need some more money to buy out Napier to then hire some other big name, big money coach, they're going to say, we'll do it, but you're not going to be the one picking the guy. You're out too.
Yep.
Yeah, and we saw, it's a great point. We saw some of the estimates were it'd be about $40 million to make a coaching switch because Napier's got about $28 million left. They owe him 85% of that salary. Then hiring a new coach and all of their assistants. It's a lot.
And apparently the large majority of their NIL money is in underclassmen, so they want to preserve that investment and keep those kids around and not have them leave if they fire Napier. So it's probably even more than $40 million in sunk costs if you get rid of him, and then the roster gets depleted.
But I don't understand. They're University of Florida. Money should not be an issue. Why is money an issue there? I get maybe
the program's been down.
Yeah, but still, they're not, even Alabama. I understand Alabama doesn't have unlimited funds because it's a smaller state. This is the biggest, a huge state, it should be the premier program. Like money, $40 million should be a drop in the bucket. Get into private equity.
Now they got to pay players, Perloff. It's a little bit different. Before,
Oh, my God.
when you got all the labor for free before.
I watch college
different
football.
calculus.
I watch college football games. They're about 9 million TV commercials. Where's that million? Where's all that IBM Watson money going?
That will eventually be going to the players.
Yeah,
but right
right.
now, it's not.
It's going to administrators. It's all that money is going to administrators, and it's kind of a garbage situation.
You know what's interesting about the Todd Golden thing, the basketball coach who's being accused of unwanted sexual advances on Instagram, requesting sexual favors and sending photos and videos of his genitalia, along with stalking and other things. It's the student-run newspaper that broke this story and is doing all Pogish. I know you mentioned that. I'm sorry, but
no.
It's like I'm very curious how this turns out.
And we're seeing that now at a lot of these schools where it's a student-run newspapers.
Northwestern, that happened with the hazing
exactly.
situation.
We're there, and we talk about the state of media. We're mentioning Micah Parsons. Is he a media member or whatever title he has? We're starting to see the state of media where it's the student-run papers at these schools that are getting these massive stories of misconduct. Does kind of speak to just kind of the state of sports media as a whole.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I don't see Micah Parsons breaking any stories.
I don't think this is the journalism aspect. I don't think we're expecting from Parsons.
What's Micah Parsons' inside scoop on the Jason Kelsey Penn State situation? As a Penn State alum, I thought he would be on the ground.
New angles of that phone getting smashed? Is that what you're talking about?
Exactly.
NBA last night, the Cavs won again, 119-113 in Chicago. They are the 8th team ever to start a season 12-0. The Thunder 1-0 after losing Chet Holmgren to that broken pelvis. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander pouring in a career-high 45 and a 134-128 home win over the Clippers. Head coach Mark Daigneault, not surprised, his guys stepped up.
This is a team that has made a habit in a number of years now of responding to challenges with energy and together and seeing them as opportunities. These are resilient, high-character people, and that's on display time and again.
This might be the problem, though. Without Chet, the Thunder's tallest starter last night was 6'6". They were out-rebounded 47-29 in the game. Ooh. Pirates righty Paul Skeens, the luckiest man on the planet, according to my 10-year-old son, is now a finalist for NL Rookie of the Year and Cy Young. He's going to win Rookie of the Year, but Braves lefty Chris Sale, Phillies righty Zach Wheeler might have better shots at that Cy Young. And the
Wait a minute. I'm not glossing over that. So Jake's a big fan of Livy?
And he wants to be a pitcher. Yeah.
Oh,
so,
okay.
I mean, it's the whole package.
Okay.
Well, it's funny because I hope this isn't, talking out of turn here, but doesn't Jake has like a little girlfriend? And I was going to ask, did they meet online?
No,
what
I hope
app
not.
is there for 10-year-olds?
Did you guys
Snapchat. Just straight texting.
Sorry, another left turn. Did you see Pat McAfee's shot at Paul Skeens on game day? Paul Skeens was picking games. He goes, I did a lot of homework on this game. And McAfee goes, unlike your time at LSU, is that the first time you've ever done homework?
The SEC fining Ole Miss $350,000 for their field storming on Saturday. $250 is the norm. An extra $100,000 tacked on because they went on the field before the game was actually over. That money goes to Georgia since they lost that game. LSU, meanwhile, docked $250,000 for fans throwing things on the field Saturday. That money goes to a conference fund. Guys, back to you.
That's funny. McAfee better be careful because I don't know how many West Virginia football players were hitting the books that hard.
Do they even have school there?
I don't know. Thank you, Bogish. Coming up, Perloff has an all-time what if about the Dallas Cowboys. This is inspired. We'll get to that next.
Uncle Sam's got his turkey day plans. Sipping bourbon from a can, yeah, that's his stance. He's got the Maggie and Perloff show on blast. Feeling thankful and tipsy, talking fast. Uncle Sam, he's the man with a drink in his hand and a wild family plan. Chatting up a storm about freedom and fuss. complaining about censorship and making a fuss. Daly's in the chat, shouting out loud, hey, let us speak free, don't censor the crowd. But Drunkle just laughs with a grin and a wink. He's got Maggie and Perloff and plenty to drink. Drunkle Sam, he's the man with the pumpkin pie and a turkey day 10. Bourbon in his cup, he's our #1 fan. Raising a glass to the Maggie and Perloff clan. So here's to Drunkle, all merry and bold, with Thanksgiving cheer and chat uncontrolled. He's loud, he's proud, a fan through and through. Cheers, Uncle Sam, we're thankful for you. Sam's got his turkey day plans, sipping bourbon from a can, yeah, that's his stance. He's got the Maggie and Perloff show on blast, feeling thankful and tipsy, talking fast. Drunkle Sam, he's the man with a drink in his hand and a wild family plan, chatting up a storm about freedom and fuss, complaining about censorship and making a fuss. Daly's in the chat, shouting out loud, hey, let us speak free, don't censor the crowd. But Drunkle just laughs with a grin and a wink. He's got Maggie and Perloff and plenty to drink. Drunkle Sam, he's the man with the pumpkin pie and a turkey